Hello ladies, I have been using cloth for a year now, which now means not only am I an experienced buyer, I have experience and knowledge to share. The first thing I'd like to say is just something pertaining to my own character. I am the sort of individual who sticks to my favorites. If I like a particular chocolate brand, I may have type A, B and C that I really like, and type D that it's only bought if I can't find the other three that I love, and type E, F and onwards I would never buy again. And that's me. If a new brand comes out, I might try it. I try it one time. If it's not as good as A or B, I wouldn't even bother buying it again. And that's exactly what has happened to my pads, because I'm going to show you everything I have. Okay. The other thing I want to say is I didn't have any true bad experiences this year with my pad buying except one particular brand. This particular brand, I sold everything. One, because the waterproof barrier that protects the pad from leaking at the back of the pad, I was leaking right through the back of that. So that means I had no protection. The other reason why I sold on those pads was because every time I washed those pads, every time they got soaked in cold water for even a day, they kept stretching, especially the wings. The wings kept expanding. I'd never seen anything like that before. And I don't scrub my pads really. I hand wash very gently with a plunger. So it's just the oddest experience. And as you will see, every other pad of mine that's old has held up perfectly well. Okay, so that was a bad experience. When I contacted the pad maker, she had a story about why the pads were stretching. I was accused of washing them in water that was too hot. I was accused of perhaps putting them in the dryer. I don't know. In any case, I got rid of those. And thank God there's a D-stash. And everybody isn't as particular as I am. Okay. So that's one. There was another suspect pad that got sent off to my friend. However, this pad was suspect because I shot the video, and then when I washed the pad, it looked vastly different to what it looked like before the wash. So that was, that really made me think that the quality of that particular brand wasn't up to par. I don't have the pad. I'm just being suspicious. It may be just fine. My friend will let me know how she gets on with it. And other than that, I've had all good experiences. Okay, on to my stash and what's going on with it. Okay, so these are my nighttime pads. This is new. This is only a month old. It's only been used for one cycle. This is from Moongazy cloths. Okay, so I use this at night. Now, I'll show you my nighttime pads. I also use any of my Ngozi Sews 16-inch pads. I'll start with my oldest Ngozi Sews 16-inch pads. I bought this prior to having the baby a year ago. It is, sorry about the peg mark, 2 peg marks. It is my 16-inch ultra heavy pad. It's been used twice a month for the whole year, 2 times per cycle. This baby has kept it together. None of Nina's stitching, the lady at Ngozi Sews, Nina, none of her stitching is falling apart. It's all there. Okay, the pad still looks good. It's still one of my favorite pads. I still reach for it all the time. This was bought in the same purchase, and again you can see it's still in really good condition. Okay, none of her stitching is coming out. And the backer at that time was anti-pill fleece. So these two are still with me. Okay, so my nighttime pads is basically any of my 16-inch Ngozi Sews pads and one of those. And this is my Queen Cloth 16-inch pad. This has been used ever since it got here. I've really loved this pad. You can see it's still in pretty good condition. There's a bit of fluff on it. Let's get that off. Okay. And this Wind Pro is just lovely. Every pad that I have that has this very thick Wind Pro, the Wind Pro looks really good for a long time. Okay. And this is new. This is my Moongazy cloth super heavy pad for nighttime. I'm sorry about the peg marks. And I've got a white Wind Pro at the back this time. I'd like to say that cotton velour is my favourite top for my heavy pads. So you'll probably find that I have a lot of cotton velour heavies. So those are my nighttime pads. Okay. I had Nina at Ngozi Sews make me a nighttime pad that was a heavy, not an ultra heavy, and this is for kind of like the third night when you're not that heavy but you have trickles that, you know, or runoffs that kind of trickle down, and you kind of need just a flare that will hold it all. You know, so this is quite handy. I mean, for me, when I wear this, it just feels so thin because I've usually come from, you know, really super thick pads. So this is like, oh, I just feel like I'm not wearing much. So I love wearing it. I have worn it most months since I bought it. And you can see it's still in pristine condition. Jersey top. Look at that. The stitching is still amazing. Pad is still in amazing condition. And this was a Wind Pro back. When I bought these, they were all Wind Pro backs. Okay, so that's my nighttime lot. I also use my 16-inch Ngozi Sews pads during the day. I have quite a few. I have 5 of these. I think these came in back in April, and I haven't bought any more since. And a lot of these have been used twice a month for the longest time because they were the only mega heavy pads that I had up until recently. So they're still, they've had good use twice a month for quite a few months. So I got a boost to my 16-inch heavies in October. That's when, you know, the collection started to change. Okay, and you can see how these have worn. No stains. Anti-peel fleeces. No, this is Wind Pro. Still looking good. Very pleased with these pads. And I've also got this one. I don't think I just showed this, but anti-peel fleece back. And the other one, which you just saw with the anti-peel fleece back. Okay. So in October, something new happened. So I got Cassandra at Red Queen Cloth to make these for me. And these changed my cloth pad collection. I cannot wait to get more of these. This is now my official favorite daytime pad for my heavy days, my super heavy days. This is my favorite pad. So for the daytime use. So this snaps up this way. I have all 3 that I've bought. I haven't destashed anything. I'm kind of waiting for her to make me a couple from cotton velour because it's my favorite topper for heavy days. That's that pad, and I've got 3 of them. So these are sticking with me. I wanted to say something. I mean, with my Ngozi Sews pads and these as well, I will probably keep them until they fall apart. And my Ngozi Sews have been through a lot because they've been half of them were used 3 times a month, 3 times per cycle. So they're really around 2 years old with the amount of washes they've had. So I'm pretty pleased with them. These are new. And I can't wait to get a few more of these. I'd like 3 more or two about 3 more. That would make me happy. Okay, so I've worked out that I really need 15 of these big pads. in order for me to have enough to not be rushed into washing in the middle of my period, because I do end up feeling like I have to, it's not feeling, I actually have to wash because I'm running out. So I need 15 of them, including the nighttime ones. So I've worked out that if I've got 15 or 16 of these pads, I'll be just fine. So that's where the big pad collection is. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So I've got 11, so I really need about 5 more. And that would make it so that I don't have to rush to wash in the period. Those that are remaining, I'm really going to try and fill up with this pad. I still love this. It's an old favorite, and I would like another one of these from Moongazy cloth for my nighttime pads. Okay, then on to my heavies. So when I first bought my pads, I had 14-inch pads. I had 3. I've destashed 1. And the irony is, what I found is I actually don't need 14-inch pads. It's the most bizarre experience, but I don't need them. So what I'm doing these days is I am basically using this one on my first night because I'm not that heavy, but it's an ultra absorbency, so it has some protection. And unfortunately, I love this pad, but I needed to have bought this as a 15-inch super heavy pad. I shouldn't have bought it as a heavy. It's had its use. I was using it every single month up until the Queen cloth pads came. When these came, they just changed the whole game. So I'll be passing this on to a niece of mine. I'm going to hang on to this because it's a great first night pad. I've been enjoying using it because it just gives me extra protection in case I turn out to be heavy that night. So I'm hanging on to that. Anyway, this gets used every single month. It's never had a month off, and this is its condition. It's in very good condition. No stitches are falling out. And I bought this in January last year, so this was for the postpartum bleed. There's something else I want to say. Along with my postpartum pads, when I was buying them, I had huge pads in that time. I had some 18-inch pads and some, I don't even know what I had. Anyway, the reason those pads are no longer with me from the other makers that I had at that time, especially the massive pads, is because I underestimated these pads. They looked so small compared to the others, and I was just imagining that I needed such a huge pad for postpartum bleeding. And really, I realized no, I just didn't even need them, because this pad soaks up just as much as those mega pads, mega huge pads, I should say. This pad is really good. And also, the thing with this pad is it's a big pad that doesn't feel big. You have no idea that you're wearing something so big. It just doesn't feel big. And so it's one of my favorite shapes because of this. It's just, you don't notice that you're wearing such a big pad. It's not bigger than necessary as well. And it does the job really well. So in my book, the 19-inch pads, 20-inch pads, I just didn't need them, and I got rid of them. And in future, even if I have another baby, these pads will do the job. I really don't need to buy any more pads. My own stash can deal with my postpartum bleed. I bleed like postpartum bleeds every month anyway. Okay, so I now also would like to talk about my 13-inch heavies. So once I've finished the heavy part of the mega part of my cycle, when I come down to a heavy, I'm only ever heavy for half a day to a full day and no more. I originally used to have 2 more heavy pads, but basically one broke my heart. It was a black pad with flowers, and I wore it towards the end of my cycle, and I am so acidic at that time, I bleached the pad. I bleached the black into some greyish brown colour. So I destashed it. So now I'm left with these. Basically, I've got 3 left, well, 4. Okay, so this pad is used every month. So let's start with that one, because this never has a month off, and it is still looking amazing. Here's the Wind Pro back. Okay, I have a velvet top one that was look at that, velvet with flowers. Have you ever seen anything like it? Isn't it a beauty? So this is my velvet topped pad. I love velvet. It's a lot like cotton velour and cord, in that it just rinses out clean. I forgot to mention that this is also just a cold rinse, and it's always clean. It never really needs any stain treatment. This is the same. Just quick rinse, they're done. I love them. And the problem is, because I just sometimes just want an easy job, they're always in rotation. Okay, these two I have from, well, they've been with me for quite a while, because I think they came around the same time. They're about a year old. I would like to say that I don't wear this pad every single month, but I've worn it half the time. And the Grid Wind Pro seems to hold well. I mean, it still looks fairly new. It hasn't really bobbled. So the Grid Wind Pro has that advantage. The Thick Wind Pro, as you can see, also holds up quite well in comparison to the other, the smaller, the thinner Wind Pros. So here you go. Okay, so basically the whole year this never gets a month off, and these kind of get alternate months. Bear in mind that I'm only heavy for half a day, 3/4 of a day, max a day. So I'm not heavy for long. So it goes, my period goes regular, mega, heavy for a very short time, and back to regular. Okay, so for my regular pads, I have 2 shapes that are my absolute favorite. So this is, excuse me, I tapped the stand. These are my Ngozi Sews pads. Okay, I'll start with the oldest of the set. Okay, you can see again her stitching is staying in place, not moving at all, and the Grid Wind Pro has held up very well. What I'd like to say as well is this particular pad is always being stain treated. I stain treat this thing every single month, and it's held up very well. It's a cotton top. I also have my original Blossom. I actually wore this even for the labour itself. So this pad's been with me for quite a while, and it's held up. It's beautiful still. The stitches are still there. Yes, it's fading a bit, and the anti-pill fleece is, but it's still a very comfortable pad. Nothing has fallen apart, and I'm going to use it until it falls apart. I mean, I'm not selling any of the pads that I'm showing you today. These are staying with me until they are no longer usable. So those are the 2 old ones. This kind of came in a little bit later. I think I bought this in April. And as you can see, it still looks impeccable. I love this fabric. I love it so much that I'm actually thinking of buying a second one. Just because I'm always sad when I've used this pad. When I put it in the bucket, I feel sad. I'm always like, why don't I have another one of these pads? So I'm going to get another one just because I have that feeling that, oh my gosh, if only I had another one of these pads. So this is a little bit younger, but again, it gets used every single month. Funny enough, even though it's a white background, it gives me no problems stain treating it. I'm quite happy with this pad. And also I learned a very painful lesson. I bleached, like I told you, I bleached my black heavy pad. So now towards the end of my cycle, I'm sticking to cotton tops because they cope a lot better. This is new. This has only been with me for 1 cycle. And this time I had a soft shell back. So this is a different backer, soft shell. And again, I can never complain about Nina's work. It's impeccable. And this, I love this regular shape. And also this is also only one cycle in my cord, Liberty cord top and soft shell back. So I'm now going to make sure that at the end of the period I only wear cord or cotton. That's it, nothing else, because whatever else I wear, I'm always worried I'm going to ruin it. Okay, so this is, I have two shapes for regulars that I love. The other shape that I have that I love is by Karen at Moongazy Cloth. I have two. She has a standard wing shape and a wrap wing shape. These are both 13 inches. I should also say that Ngozi Sews, Nina's pads, are also 13 inches. I love these two for different reasons. The Ngozi Sews pad, when I've come off a heavy period, they just feel like I'm not wearing anything. I don't even feel the pad. They're so good. Then this particular shape from Karen at Moongazy is just very gentle. If I'm very sensitive and raw, I just find this shape is gentler on my lady parts, and so I like it for that reason. It just seems to sit more gently, more caringly on my lady bits, and doesn't poke me at all. So I love this shape for that reason. This shape, the same pad, comes in a wrap wing, so I have two. These two are jersey tops, which means I'm intending to use them at the beginning of the period, not at the end, because I go regular. My period starts, I use regular pads first, and go to mega pads, and come back to regulars. So I'm going to be using that for the less acidic part of my cycle. Or I will use it in the acidic part, but not wear it for as long. I used to have one of these pads, sorry, this fabric, this topper, in a 12-inch, same shape. I've gotten rid of all 12-inch pads. I don't have even one now. I passed them to a niece. However, I love this fabric, so I bought myself a 13-inch in it. I just find that 12 inches, that shape just doesn't sit right. There's just always something wrong with it somehow. I don't get why it doesn't work, but it just doesn't sit well. So anyway, I've basically bought my favorite toppers back. This pad, when I had it in the 12-inch, I used to use it every other month. It needed the stain treatment bucket, but it still looked new. So I really love this jersey. Okay, and my new wrap wing, I wore it in the last cycle. It's very comfy. I'm very happy with it. Okay, on to, so those are my regulars. I bought some more just this month. I also had this fabric before in a 12-inch, but it was a standard wing shape. This fabric had been through, I mean, I used to wear this thing every single month without fail, and it had all sorts of stains, and they always washed off. So I just came to trust the fabric. It just did so well that I just loved the fabric. So I've bought it again in a wrap shape, so I can't wait. Okay, I've also bought myself, so these have been used. Okay, and these are new. They've just arrived, so I haven't gotten to wear these yet. Okay, so I've now got so hang on, these are wrap wings. I should just separate them this way. Got two wrap wings and the standard wings. So I've got cotton top again, cotton top, and I now have a cotton wrap wing. Okay, so I want to try what a cotton wrap wing will feel like. If it's as comfortable as a jersey, I'll definitely get some more. And another one. So I've worked out that I need roughly, the adequate amount of regulars that I need is really 15 or 16. However, I experience a couple of times a year a period that is around 14 to 15 days, and when that period lands, I'll be very happy if I have 20. So I think I'll probably buy until I get to about 16 regulars. I've got 5 here. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I'm nearly there. So I need to get 3 or 4 more, and then I'm not going to buy any more in case these pad makers come up with some irresistible fabrics that I'm not able to resist. So I leave the rest for irresistible fabrics. Anyway, I'm very pleased with my pad collection. These are my favorites. Okay, so I that's just my nature. I just keep my favorites. The other thing that I have in my pad arsenal are my pad bags that go in my handbag. Okay, so this is what I normally have in my handbag, and I keep my liners in here throughout the time. So clean liners. This is, I should show this actually. This liner was bought in my first set of liners, I think. I've used these liners twice a month, every month for the whole year. That's all the liners I have from Karen at Moongazy. I have 32 liners from her, and I have 2 from Ngozi Sews. Anyway, they're used twice a month, every month. And this is how they look a year on. Really good. Okay, everything's together. Sorry about the fluff, but you can see that there's no wear. They just look new. I can't see that they're old at all. They just look amazing. And these are kind of going to be with me until they fall apart as well. I have no intentions of parting with any of these, even if they're old. I'm just going to hang on to them until I cannot hang on to them anymore. So this, again, the best bag in the business, I'm always saying. So anyway, this is the best bag in the business. These are the best liners in the business. Whatever shape you buy from her, but she has got the very best liners. Okay, so with the bag, I always have this in my handbag. Okay, so I normally put 2 or 3 liners. If I'm going out for a long part, a long day, I might put a couple of more. So, and that stays in my bag. And I have the big one for when I actually have my heavy period, which will put 3 big pads in here. 4, it will be stuffed, but 4 can fit in, but 3 is usually enough for a day out. The other thing I was going to say is she has this, I've basically had this bag in the cord. I've had it in a jersey, and I've had it in a cotton, and I recommend the cord. It just seems to not wear, it looks new all the time. It just stays looking new. So I highly recommend the cord for the bags. Oh, I've just seen my other Moongazy. This is another old liner. Sorry about the fluff. Another old liner. And you can again see hardly anywhere. Still looks new. You'd never know. I've been wearing these twice a month, every month without fail. In fact, the only time I see all my liners is when I'm on my period, because I use all of them. So yes, a person might say 32 liners is a bit much. I don't find it to be too much, because there are weeks when I use 26 or 27 liners in a week. And in those weeks, when I wash, I'm on my last bits, waiting for the others to dry. So the optimum amount of liners for me would be about 36 to 40 liners would be the right quantity. So if you put the mats together, that's quite a bit. I don't really count my liners as pads, because they're liners. I don't use them for any part of my period, so I just see them as 2 separate things. With these, I have saved a little list of, I think it's about 7 or 8 liners that I want to treat myself to somewhere in the next 4 months. But I really need to prioritize finishing the purchase of my regular pads, because I need those ASAP. And I need to finish my big pads as well, because they need to get up to 16 so that I actually have enough and I'm not being rushed to wash during the cycle. What's funny is my heavy pads, I have 4 of them and I actually only need 2. So the only part of my collection that has spares is the half day or the 3/4 day that happens. That's the only one that has spares. Everywhere else I haven't got spares. I use everything. So that's ironic. So that has spares, and everything else, there are no spares. No spare liners, no spare anything. Everything is used up. So yes, so if I do the math, I would like to have, it's 16 and 16, 32 plus another 4, so 36. So I'm going to have 36 pads as my period pads, which may obviously stretch to 40, because if irresistible fabrics turn up, I can't always resist. So, and then for the liners, I'm at 34 right now, and the optimum amount for me would be 40. So I think it will probably stay at 40, only because I'm finding that you end up giving a liner away here or there to a niece that came round that just had to have one. So the collection will probably just stay at 40 in the end anyway. Wouldn't stop me buying, because I have to replace when I give away, but I can kind of see that staying at 40. Yeah, anyway, so this is me a year on. These are my experiences a year on. And pads are good when people will not destash them even when they're old looking. So that, she really likes that pad if she's not parting with it even though it's old. So yes, I'm sad because I'm going to have to give this to one of my nieces, only because I'm not using it. It's kind of just having months off right now, because like I said, it's the wrong size. However, I would definitely go back to Karen at Moongazy and get the same fabric in a new pad for myself, because I love this fabric. So this will be getting given out to a niece. Okay, I hope this has been informative. I hope it's been nice seeing what my collection looks like a year on. I can't seem to enunciate my words in videos. I don't get why that happens to me. But in any case, I hope you've enjoyed seeing the collection. And I'll talk to you guys soon.